Nobody escapes this. It's like it's equal opportunity. Not my mom's story.
Yes.
That's what I keep trying to tell everybody. This is all of our stories. None of us right now, none of, you two beautiful people, you don't want to end up in a nursing home where you are just seen as a commodity. That is the
Yes.
worst fate after having an incredible life. You should be diminished with no dignity and no respect and no quality of life. It's a very slow creep towards apathy, and then we have arrived.
Did you know that in 2020, there were 53 million caregivers in the United States? And by 2025, this number is expected to grow to 62.5 million. 73% of these caregivers also have a job. They are called working caregivers, and they are invisible because they don't talk about their caregiving challenges. Working Caregivers, the Invisible Employees, is a podcast that will show you how to support working caregivers. Join Selma Archer and Zack on the Working Caregivers, the Invisible Employees podcast as they show you how to support working caregivers.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome, and thank you for checking in on our podcast, Working Caregivers, the Invisible Employees. I'm Zack.
I'm Selma Archer.
Hey, Selma Archer, my partner. Has it cooled down on the West Coast yet?
What? Are you kidding me? The thermostat here is past heat. It's on hell.
Oh my goodness. I think we got to stop talking about temperature, talk about something else. I got something else to talk about. We got the most incredible guest today who I am proud to say I'm a fan of, but even more proud to say I'm a friend of. She's incredible. She's all over LinkedIn. She's all over everything, movies and documentaries and advocacy. We're going to hear from her. Susie Singer Carter is in the house. Hello, Susie.
Hi, Susie.
Oh my gosh. I love you so much. I love you, and I love you, Selma, because I haven't met you, but if you're working with Zack, you got to be good. You're good. You're good. You're good piece. Good piece.
What she wants to say is if you could tolerate Zack, she really loves you. That's what she's trying to say. We're going to have some fun here, but this is some serious topics we're going to talk about, and we really appreciate everybody checking in. And by the way, don't worry about writing notes down. We are going to put everything into show notes because we will be referring to some things because we know people run, exercise, or drive while they're listening to our podcast. So first of all, though, let's have a little fun because you are in Celebrityville. And one yourself, Susie. Come on, give us a really good, funny celebrity story.
Oh my God! Should I tell you the one about my mom with Arnold Schwarzenegger?
If it's got something to do with your mom, I want to hear it because I love your mom. Let's go.
Oh my God, I know you do. My mom, all of 5 feet tall, she after her singing career got into art dealing with fine art, and we were at a really high-end art gallery in Saunders, Arnold Schwarzenegger. And I wish I could do a good accent, but I can't. I can't do it. But he was like, he looked at my mom and he was smitten. And he said, "Oh my God!" And he picked up my mom in his arms, like she's 5 foot tall, and she's looking at him like, "What the hell are you doing?" He said, "Oh my God, I just love you, and you have the most beautiful boobies." And my mother said, "Put me down, you pig, you pig."
I love that story. That is, oh man, we're off to a great start here. I love it.
Like this.
Wow.
I'm like, that's our whole Arnold, Schwarzenegger. She's like, what do I care? She could care less. Yeah. Yeah.
Susie, you and I have always said, I wish I could have met your mom. Sounds like she and I would hang out and great, but now she's up there and hopefully she's running into my dad because I think the two of them will be having a great time as well as Selma's mom too. I'm sure Selma's mom would be partying with them. So
party time.
I'm glad you told the story about your mom because that's kind of why we're here. We want to talk about the caregiver role and the caregiver journey that you've been on. So can you share with us and for our audience to tell us a little bit about your caregiver journey?
I will. And, I think, and thank you for letting me tell that story because I think it's really important as caregivers that we tell stories and that we tell stories that humanize the people that we care for because our society has gotten to almost a very apathetic level of attention when it comes to people who are infirm or have a disability or are just elderly. And so, and we're able to other them, as Ashton Applewhite, who is an incredible person and talks about ageism all the time, we do that. So it's really important for us to humanize the people that we care for. So my journey started when my mom had Alzheimer's, which she had for 16 years. And, you enter this, and I was going through a divorce when she was diagnosed. And my mom, and I had, children. So I had a young teen and a child just leading her teens. So it was quite daunting. I didn't know a thing about Alzheimer's, and there we go. We're on this journey. I didn't even know that I was a caregiver. I didn't even know that term. I think we said caretaker at the time, right? So, and it it was really a learn on your feet experience, and I think that was unfortunate, but in the same sense, it was I was forced to learn by rote, and I had to learn by my mistakes, which I made a hell of a lot of mistakes with Alzheimer's. I just did. I look back at videos where I'm testing my mom because I thought that was going to keep her in the present. Like, Mom, where do you live? What's your middle name? Mom, do you know what day it is? And I just want to smack. I want to smack me, but I didn't know. My mom was so adorable. She'd go, I don't know. I don't know. And I was like, and then you learn, you got to lean into their world. That's what's important. You got to be where they're at. And then, otherwise you're just fighting this demon called Alzheimer's or dementia or whatever, or Parkinson's, whatever the case may be. So, my journey was long, but very empowering and tactful. And if you asked me, 16 years ago, what would you want to be a caregiver for your mom? I'd go, what planet are you from? Because no, the answer is no. And I wouldn't exchange that, what I learned from it, what I gained from it, the depth of feeling that I have felt from this journey, it's incomparable. And I don't think anybody that goes through this will feel, if you allow yourself to feel like the best of you, the best you can be, if you give into it, because that's you at your best when you're caring for someone you love.
But how can you be your best, Susie, when you're being a mother? Obviously, you said you're going through a divorce. You got work. You got income to worry about. You've got people that are relying on you. And how did you juggle all that, if that's the word?
Yeah, well, I didn't. Okay, let's say this. I didn't say it was easy. I didn't say it was easy. But like I say in my film, my Mom and the Girl, I didn't say it's easy, but it's worth it. Okay, so I think that we all have to weigh that. Okay, it's not going to be easy. It's freaking hard as hell. And you're right. I remember staying up all night because when my mom lived with me for a year, and right after my divorce, and literally like the boundaries are gone. She's opening the door. She's there. It's 4 a.m. I had to wait till she slept so I can get work done. So I was sleep deprived and trying to navigate my career, like you said, and then also my children, and also my own broken heart, and also, every change in the world, and also be my mother's mother, And so when I finally just decided I'm just going to surrender to this new role and not fight it, because it is what it is. And then once you surrender, everything else is cherry on top for me. Anyway, that's the way it was. Everything else, and I was fighting a brother who was not a teammate. He was not Team Norma. And so it was, it was hell. It was hell. And I thought, if I survive this, which I will, I will live to tell. And that's the gift. That's the gift. That's your purpose. You find out, doing a sitcom isn't my purpose. Talking about caregiving is a great purpose,
Well, the paternal side is going to come out of me now. Not only have you survived, I'm really proud of you. You've gone from 16 years of doing this, not knowing a thing about Alzheimer's, to now hosting a podcast called Love Conquers Alls with Don Priest. You've become kind of not an expert, but you've brought experts and have had expert conversations. We'll put a link into your podcast, and also, folks, check out the last episode where Susie and Don bring Brianna Patel on to talk about AI and technology. That was an incredible episode. I mean, look at you talking tech, talking AI. I mean, I'm really proud of you. You've really, you've done more than survive.
I love it. I think AI is going to help us so much, in caregiving in so many different ways. It has to, because, we need to help. We don't have the manpower for all of the things that need to be done. So it's going to be a great tool. If we use it right, it's going to be fantastic for everybody.
It was a fascinating conversation. I really encourage everyone to check it out. And the one that really hit me hard was the part about where she's going to be able to help prevent things like bed sores. Yeah. I cannot tell you how many times after my mother had her first bed sore, I'll be in meetings or having conversations at work, and I'm worrying about her because I'm like, did they rotate her ankle? Did they do? And she's going to have platforms working with rehabs and nursing homes where you'll be able to monitor that and quickly notify folks. That's check out Susie's and Don's podcast for that whole discussion.
Thank you. Yeah, no, it's exciting. That's exciting. And those are things that are going to really, make us just be exponentially better for everybody. So, yeah.
So, Susie, you've been involved in a couple of really amazing films. Can we just touch base on those for a minute? The first one is My Mom and the Girl. Can you talk about the inspiration for that and where that's just amazing?
Thank you.
That's my mom, the year she lived with me. The year I call my best and my worst. But either way, she's the love of my life.
Bitch! I know you're in there.
I knew she was getting worse.
It's 4 a.m. Where are you going?
But I was not sending her to one of those places.
You have to put me in a home and live your life.
Oh, you're going.
Oh, not yet.
You're not ready.
Baby, don't you worry about me.
Okay, I wasn't ready. But what could be better than living with people you know and love?
Who's your friend?
Nanny.
Does this look like a nanny?
I'm very proud of My Mom and the Girl. It's a day in the life, a moment in the life of my mom when she lived with me, which I call the best and worst year of my life. After what said divorce, said everything. And I had this fantastic caregiver that lived with us, my Irlanda, who was my daughter's nanny. And then she had become my mom's housekeeper and was just a natural caregiver and became my mom's best friend. They were best friends. My Jewish mom from New Jersey and Irlanda from Guatemala, and they loved each other dearly. And she had is sturdy. Irlanda was very sturdy with my mom. They had a thing. So she would regale me with all these. My mom was very unshy, the opposite of shy. She spent an afternoon with Snoop Dogg. That's a whole nother story. That's a whole nother movie. Oh yeah. Because my mom would sing to anybody. My mom would sing, and he was like, they were at Starbucks, and they're gone for like 4 hours. I'm like, finally get a hold of Irlanda and say, where are you? Oh, we're talking to Snoop Dogg. Like, whoa, what? So, and he was like, little mama, I'm taking you on the road. I actually wrote a movie about it because he fell in love with my mom. So that was my mom.
My gosh.
So this story in particular, that's My Mom and the Girl, which I won't go into because we have so much to talk about, but I'll give you the link, and your listeners and viewers will get to watch it. It's really wonderful. It's Valerie Harper plays my mom. Valerie Harper, who played Rhoda on the Mary Tyler Moore show, was her last performance. She embodied my mother. She embodied this experience, and she gives her all to it. It is gorgeous. It is beautiful. It is funny. It is everything that my mom was. And I can't can't feel more blessed that I had her in this project. So, I remember telling people this story in particular about this, that the movie was based on, and people would say, "Oh my God, you need to do a short film about that, or a film." And I said, "Oh, please, that's the last thing people need is another Alzheimer's film, right?" And then I ruminated. I thought, okay, well, maybe it is different enough. Maybe this is what I would call a joyous look, a real but joyous look at Alzheimer's. Because in 2017, there wasn't a lot of positive perspectives, where there was a lot of stigma and a lot of ableism attached to, and misunderstanding. I wanted to maybe take a chance and give it the best light I could, and albeit an honest light. So we did, and just watch it. It's very unique and different and real. And we were Oscar qualified. We went to Cannes. We won the PBS award there, and I'm very, very, very proud of it. And yeah.
How do you think a caregiver or an employer would benefit from watching the movie?
Such a great question, because I was my fiscal sponsor at the time was Us Against Alzheimer's for that film, and also I was very, very connected to Alzheimer's Los Angeles, and I actually started to create an educational tool using the film, because every scene has something that is kind of universal about the way caregivers and people with dementia interact, and I really wanted to show that, where my mother forgets who my daughter is, right, at the door, and she goes, who's this woman? And I'm like, and the way I would have said mom before, I would have said, "Mom, that's your granddaughter." Now I go, "Oh, this girl, this gorgeous, beautiful woman that used to be a baby, you mean baby Maddie, that's now grown up and can never stay home?" And it gives her time to go, "Oh, my granddaughter, I remember," because she doesn't feel shamed. Right?
Yes.
You're not shaming her. So, and she goes, "Of course, I love you. Get over here. Give me kisses." Right? And so every scene shows something of a solution in a way. It may not be elegant getting into it, but life isn't elegant. But nevertheless, this is what happened. This is a better way. This is the mistake I made, and then let me show you what I could do. Or you can do. When my mother's screaming and yelling at me at 4 a.m. because she thinks I've stolen her baby, which is a very common thing that happens. And I was like, "Oh my God, it's 4 a.m. Mom, stop." And she just turns and looks at me and goes, "You're my baby. You're my baby."
Wow.
And
Amazing.
and so, and then we go to humor like we always did. And she goes, "You got to put me in a home. You got to live your life." I go, "Mom, you're going. Are you kidding me?" And she's like, and I go, "You're not ready yet." But okay. Well, when? So that's the tone of the film.
Yeah.
They say the olive doesn't fall far from the olive tree, just so you know. Like mother, like daughter.
Thank you.
You have a documentary coming out on August 1st, right?
I do. I do.
No Country for Old People. Tell us about that, and why do you think it would be beneficial for employers and caregivers to watch?
Well, the world needs to watch this film. It's a documentary based on our broken systemic crisis in our long-term care system, in the industry, really. And I again, inspired by my mother and the care that she was receiving 3 years ago in a 5-star facility here in Los Angeles. And, because of COVID, and we were kept away from our loved ones for far too long, we were able to see as caregivers, we go and, they're on their best behavior at these institutions, these facilities. But during a crisis, you could really see where all the cracks in the business model were, and things you didn't want to believe. You want to believe that your parents being taken care of, or your loved one, your husband, or whatever, and all of the bad things were exposed during that time, because they are chronically understaffed. That's a fact. That goes, and they are, but for the most part, owned by corporate ownership and people that are just interested in the bottom line and looking at these places as commodities. And they've learned to game the system and things that you would never imagine in this kind of world of caregiving, where you're talking about people's lives, you're talking about the most tender parts of people's lives, and yet they're in essence being warehoused for profit. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm a practical girl, and I certainly didn't want to be doing research and finding out all this stuff. But I had on my podcast, I had just watched Hulu's miniseries called Dope Sick, right? I don't know if anyone has seen it. Go see it, like watch it. It's free. It's on Hulu. It's Michael Keaton. Peter Sarsgaard plays this amazing man, Rick Moncastle, who was the main prosecutor against Purdue Pharma, who are responsible for manufacturing OxyContin and creating the OxyContin crisis. Well, this is he and his partners, the whole journey of it, taking them to court and prosecuting them. At the last episode, they talk about their next case, which is also a pharmaceutical, which is against Abbott Labs for off-marketing Depakote to nursing homes to chemically restrain people.
I remember that.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, that happened to my mom. My mom was on Depakote, and I didn't know it. It took her from a vibrant, singing, walking, talking woman with Alzheimer's to a zombie in a chair.
Wow.
And I didn't know it. I didn't know she was on it. So until her primary doctor saw her for a regular checkup and said, "Your mom's on this drug. It's black box label for someone of her age and with dementia. Can I take her off?" I said, "Can you take her off?" Of course. Well, yeah. So long story short, I had Rick on my show to talk about chemical restraint. And then I was going through what was going through with my mother. And he said, I prosecuted nursing homes for fraud and neglect for over 20 years. And even though I would win my cases nationally, he said, I never have seen any change. If anything, it's getting worse. It's the first I ever heard of this. He said, this isn't unique to you. This is a systemic crisis. He threw his hat in the ring because he happened to be, like he says, there's no coincidences, retiree 3 years ago, and said, you're a filmmaker, if you do a documentary or anything on this, I'd like to throw my hat in the ring. I said, okay, you just open the door. I'm going to do a documentary. And that was it. We're off to the races.
It's amazing.
Yeah. So it's very important. And having Rick being an expert on the legal side and understanding the business model, along with over 70 other experts who have been, dealing with these issues, and nothing has helped. And the reason why nothing has helped is there's a very, very powerful nursing home lobby that uses our money to make sure everything stays status quo, because that's how they make money. And we all know how lobbyists work. All of our politicians, where they're at for their campaigns, they get into our legislature, they embed themselves, they have chairs there, they make decisions. So that's why traditional advocacy very rarely works. There's no enforcement, there's no oversight, and there's hardly any penalties. And if they are, they're considered the cost of doing business.
And I can't tell you, at least, your mom, and by the way, her mom's name's Norma. So we keep saying mom, but Norma, God bless Norma. And I know she's beaming down at you right now, Susie. But you were there for Norma. I'm sure while you were going into this place, and when I go into my mother's place, there are so many that have no visitors. There's nobody there advocating for them. So can I just to follow up on your documentary? This is a little frustrating. This isn't a new issue. What's new is the shortage of caregivers. That is new and scary. But these issues in nursing homes are not new. Why are we still dealing with this stuff? Why do you have to go and make a documentary to get the world to wake up?
Well, unfortunately, we're living in a very individualistic kind of time in our society. Not to get all preachy about it, but it's true. We lost community. We've lost a sense of community. And so, without community, and that's very evident during COVID, without community to oversee these things happen. They're no longer in our purview. We are apathetic towards that. We're taught to be apathetic. We are taught all these isms like, it's okay, that at least they lived that long. They were sick anyway. They're
Oh
old
gosh.
people. It doesn't matter. They don't really bring anything to society. They're not really here. I had the chaplain tell me, my mom, don't worry about her. She has Alzheimer's. She has holes in her head. She doesn't know what's going on. And I said, I'm
Jeez.
sorry, with all due respect, you have holes in your head. You don't know a thing about Alzheimer's.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Good for
and,
you.
and so that this is what you're dealing with. You're dealing with doctors that don't know. And the truth is that in the documentary, we talk about the fact that our frontline providers are suffering as much as our residents and our
Yeah.
all of our elders and people that are the most vulnerable, because they're not given the tools to do what they know they have to do and need to do and want to do. So they experience moral injury. They go home at night and go, I can't. Like, I just left Norma in her urine. Not to be gross, but that's what happens because they
Yeah.
don't have time. They don't have the time. They're not, because they're chronically understaffed, because staffing costs money.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest nut. Yeah.
God bless you, Susie, for your advocacy work that you're doing. We all need caregiver advocates. And we actually, Selma and I've had conversations with a guest where advocacy should be a skill set you should put on LinkedIn profile, because a lot of caregivers are really good at it, right? But unfortunately, sometimes we're not so good at it at work. And for many reasons. Do you have any insight into that, or any tips for anyone listening in here, whether you're a manager or a caregiver, that, we could try to do a little bit more advocating for ourselves at work?
I think so. I think one of the things that I always bring up is the comparison between, caring for a child, and I not to infantilize our elders, but the truth is, there's similar skill sets. If you have to care for a child or a parent or a husband, you should be afforded the same, respect and advantages that you would get as being a parent. In other words, if there's, days off that you need, if there's time that you need to take someone to a doctor, I think that we need to frame it so that your employees understand why it's important, that you are no different than a parent that has to care for a child. You're now the parent caring for your parent. And we need to frame it so people understand we've lost touch with our humanity. And so I don't know what the actual, step by step is, but I think as an individual going in to talk to, if you're pleading your case, frame it so that they understand, and that, this is as important as caring for your child. These are people that need help, and you are their designated. Like, I petitioned to be legally my mother's conservator person. I am the legal caregiver. I must be there, or I can get fined. Like, I must care for her.
Wow.
And so these are, I think our employees and our, need to take that information seriously and compassionately, and understand that this is a human issue. This is a human rights issue to take care of your loved one.
And I like your comparison to children, but it is a little bit easier said than done, right? I mean, at the end of the day, a newborn is a happy time, and employees are bringing pictures, and they're doing showers at work. I don't think I've ever shown anybody my mom's bed sore, or the things that you're going to be revealing in your docuseries. We just aren't that comfortable to do that at work, right? So maybe we just got to try to get more comfortable with it somehow.
Well, we're also not showing dirty diapers either to our employees with our children either, or scraped knees.
That's true.
We need to show them the love. And the love, love is our greatest tool in our arsenal, is love. It's powerful. It is the one thing that you cannot deny that is so powerful. I loved my mom, and, I loved her as much as I love my children. Like, she's one of my favorite people in the whole world. And, I think if you lead with that and say, you don't have to show the pictures of the bad things, but you show pictures of the good life, of the good times, like, and how much it's helping her, and that maybe you're going in like I used to, and entertain the troops, because you know what, there you cannot feel any better than going and visiting someone at a long-term facility or assisted living. First of all, everyone there is so grateful, so lovely, so wonderful. And it's important. These things are important. They're not important. They're the opposite of that. This is so important that we learn to be there, to be a community. We have lost that. It is all about bottom line.
Yeah.
It's like they don't even call people by their names. It's like bed number 1 and bed number 2. I'm sorry. Where is our
Wow.
humanity?
I was going to ask you what employers could do, but you mentioned the flexibility piece, that they could be more flexible. That's what
Yes.
caregivers are needing. When they walk through the door to talk to that manager, they need some ways to work around the rigidness of getting the work done. That's one of the things. And then
Exactly.
you also mentioned about bringing it back to humanity. About these are all human issues that, as Rosalind Carter said, we have either gone through, we're going to go through, we're going through them now, or we're going to need someone to help us through.
Nobody escapes this. It's equal opportunity. It's equal opportunity
Yes.
for all of us. All of us.
Yes.
Not my mom's story. That's what I keep trying to tell everybody. This is all of our stories. And
Yes.
none of us right now, none of, you two beautiful people, you don't want to end up in a nursing home where
Right.
you are just seen as a commodity. That is the worst fate after having an incredible life. You should be
Yeah.
diminished with no dignity and no respect and no quality of life. That's just inhumane. And
Yes.
and yet we're looking, no one's looking. And I'm not blaming people. It's the way that it's a very slow creep towards apathy, and then we have arrived.
Yes.
So we need to use our voices. We need to roar. How's that for my transition into advocacy? We need to roar very loud for the people that can't roar, which is why we're starting a movement to coincide with No Country for Old People, which is called ROAR, and it stands for Respect, Oversight, Advocacy, and Reform for Employee Long-Term Care. And I invite everyone to be a roarier with me and
Yes.
use your voices for those who don't have voices.
And advocacy takes a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of resources, a lot of money. What maybe can employers do in that respect? Is there ways that they can support what you're doing and your efforts? Because then employees can look up and say, hey, wow, my company really does care. And listen up, everybody.
Support us right now. We're going to pave the way. We're going to get to CMS, which is the Centers for Medicaid and Medicare, and Medicare and Medicaid, and we're going to, make sure that they, with our collective voice, which is powerful. That's where we need to start, is to really get oversight, regulations, and things that will benefit employers. Where CMS will say, yes, we need to pay for these days off for people, or time off to caregive. That should be worked into the system. It should be part of it. And that will never get done unless we as a collective demand it. And so, I would say to employers, I would say, support this movement. It's so important. There's nothing has been done that's this big of a rock to push up the hill. Nothing has been done without the collective voice, the LGBTQ movement, the Me Too movement, the Black Lives Matter movement. Everything takes voice, and voice takes money. Support us, please. Support this movement. Support whatever you can, because it will benefit you and your company, and you will be more productive because you're going to have productive people, and they're going to feel cared for. They're going to feel respected. People that care for people should get the most respect in the world, right?
You think, yep,
Yeah.
you would think.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah. Well, Susie, how can our audience learn more about all this wonderful work that you're doing? How can they reach you? Your website, your link, your shows, links to your shows, everything.
Well, I'm going to share a link to My Mom and the Girl. I want everyone to know that No Country for Old People, a nursing home expose, will be available on Amazon on August 1st, starting August 1st. And I'm very, very excited about that. Please watch it. It's 3 parts. It's a 3-part docu-series. It's so important that you know what's going on so that you can manage this system, because everybody will be, like you said, Zack, somewhere in this system, and Selma as well. You can go if you want to learn more about it beforehand and watch trailers and everything else, and join our roar movement. You can go to nocountryforoldpeople.com. Everything is there. You can watch videos. You can watch, some excerpts from our experts, and then yeah, and if you want to be a part of the roar movement, you can sign up there. If you can't leave the house, that's fine too, because we're going to be virtual as well. We just need to use our big fat voices, and that's what we need to do. Yeah. We just can't do it alone. It's daunting, right? I feel like Sisyphus. I call it Susie Fist, because I'm like pushing this rock up the hill, and I can't do it alone. And we can't. We need to be unified.
What'd you call that, Susie? What?
Sisyphied. Sisyphus, the mythology of Sisyphus. I call it.
You're like a whole new dictionary, warriors and all that stuff. I love it. I love it. Love it.
Yeah.
Selma, on occasion, I like to challenge our audiences, especially employers out there. So I'm going to do a challenge. August 1st is when Susie's documentary series is coming out. I am like to challenge one of our employers out there to take the lead. Watch it for yourselves and then bring it to your organization. Support Susie and her organization, because this is not easy to produce. It took her 3 years to do this work. And I know she's nowhere near paying the bills yet. So and this is important. And I like what you said, Susie. If do it with love. We don't need to shock people. We don't need to say, look what's going on. Yes, it's called an expose, but it's for the reason so we can raise awareness and educate ourselves. So employer, who's going to be the first one out there? Watch it for yourselves. Bring it to your organization. Support Susie and her efforts, and we can all make a difference together. I know if I was an employee and my employer was doing that, I'd feel a heck of a lot better working for him. I know that for a fact.
Isn't that the truth? Isn't that the truth? Yep. Yeah. Thank you, Zack. Thank you, Selma.
Oh. Thank you, Susie, for all the work you do. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. Thank you, Susie.
I appreciate it.
Thank you for tuning in. Be sure to catch new episodes of Working Caregivers, the Invisible Employees Podcast, every other Tuesday. Please also visit our website, invisibleemployeeadvocates.com, to subscribe to our newsletter, purchase our book, and learn more about how we can help you strengthen your workplace to become more supportive of working caregivers.